Welcome to Birdseeds, and as always, thank you so much for listening. I say it every time. I really appreciate it. So last week, I brought up the concept that I'd come up with of the 5 buckets, and I kind of want to go back to that because I kind of stuck with me. It was something I kind of thought up. It was pretty quick. Meant a lot to me, but it's kind of sticking around, and I really want to dive back into that a little bit. I want to talk about, um, you know, changing your patterns or your habits of avoidance and how empowering that can be and how much anxiety that can reduce. I'm going to talk about the idea of like solving the small problems instead of the big problem. So just kind of a lot of growth in that in the last week with me, and a lot of change coming in my world. And that can be overwhelming, can be anxiety inducing. And frankly, those aren't beneficial or helpful. I mean, certainly on the short term, they can be helpful. They can kind of make you aware of problems coming so you can avoid them or, figure out a way to not let them become problems. But when it changes from, the stress or whatever to the actual anxiety, the worry is good and safe, healthy, helpful. The anxiety is not helpful. So tackle those small problems. But last week we talked about those 5 buckets. So what were those 5 buckets again that I want to put my time, energy, emotion into? Being a provider, being a father, being a husband, being an entrepreneur, and being a better person. So my hobbies, those kind of things like my music, where I spend my time that's not one of those other 4 categories. That's what I want to do. And really, I've done some really kind of deep thinking and going back through like my past, my professional past, if you will. So let's go back to when I was being, a musician, when I was, trying to be an artist and all those kind of things. I really put my effort into being an entrepreneur and to the person side. So I focused on the music and I wanted to be in a band. I started the record label. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I didn't focus on being a provider. I didn't make any money, so certainly wasn't focused on that. Wasn't a father yet, so that wasn't a priority. And in the process, I was a significant other to a husband. And, I cared about it. Don't get me wrong. Love my wife. I mean, all that to be 100% true, but that wasn't where my priority was. It was enough there, but that wasn't my priority. And I can be honest and open about that and apologize for having priorities. So then I move outside of the music and kind of decide, okay, got to get serious, got to become the provider. Now I'm married, kids on the horizon, and I shut down the entrepreneurial spirit. My whole goal getting into real estate was to do things a better way because they can be done better. And just because they are what they are and it works and people make money, it doesn't mean it's done the best way. And I intended to get in and to positively disrupt real estate and the practice it was. And I kind of just wound up getting stuck doing what I do. Now, I mean, I kept my own guns. I kept to my organic business model. I kept to, sphere of influence. My best marketing is doing the best job I can, word of mouth, those kind of things. really were powerful and meaningful to me. But I frankly did real estate normally. I didn't fulfill that entrepreneurial spirit. I cut everything out for personality. I cut out playing music. I cut out doing all those things. I just simply focused away from that. Wasn't feeding that bucket. I became a father. I'm a good father. Could I have spent more time? Absolutely. Just being honest, I could have spent more time. Love my kids, there for them, all those things. But timing, I put my time into provider and husband. Again, not a bad husband. Wasn't out there cheating. No, none of that kind of stuff. But just the time was spent being a provider. That became my primary focus. And that's what I put majority of my effort into, being the provider. And I burned out because I wasn't fulfilling the other areas of my life. So now as I move forward, I am very focused on making sure that these 5 buckets are equally filled. Over the last year, I probably put too much into entrepreneurial and not enough in provider. I put a lot into father. I put a lot into husband. I put a lot into my hobbies of being a better person. I cared about being a provider, don't get me wrong. But my passion was in entrepreneurship, and I let the provider side kind of slow down too much. So now I'm reshifting, redefining success. Success isn't just making the most amount of money or being whatever. It's the combination. It's the balance of all 5 of those things. Now, how do I then sort of take that sort of new mindset, if you will, understanding what success is? How do I then apply that towards, doing better and doing all those things? And how do I solve those problems? I tend to avoid my problems. That's what I do. I know it. I know it's a weakness of mine. I don't like the conflict. I like things to be good. I get so overwhelmed or so focused on something I'm doing that a problem comes up and it's just can't deal with it. deal with it later, and then I avoid it. And I am breaking that pattern right now. I am not avoiding the problems. I'm tackling things head on, and I'm looking at them. Now, one of the best pieces of advice I got from two people, I mentioned this last time, was stop trying to solve the big problem first, solve the small problems first. So don't try to just tackle what it's going to look like in 2 years from now. You want to think about that. That has to be part of the solution. But let's tackle these smaller problems in front of it so that that becomes a clearer path. You can reverse engineer it, you can forward engineer it, but in this case, when there are so many variables to get there, solve those small problems first. Don't avoid them. Don't avoid them and just go after the big problem, because you're still going to have the small problems. Go after the small problems first. And problem, I'm using that word. It could be challenges, could be discomforts, it could be whatever it is, but just stop thinking about what they are. Stop thinking about what you should think about it. Stop thinking about how you should feel about it. Just think about what you think about it and what you feel about it. Just experience those things, solve the small problems, then take those solutions into the bigger problem. That's what I'm learning. That's how I'm teaching myself. Don't avoid them. Small problems. Make sure that my 5 buckets are covered. Thanks again for listening. This is Birdseeds. Hope you have a wonderful day.